On a bleak day for Earth, creatures emerged from its depths, known as the Reapers. They swiftly wiped out 99% of humanity. For reasons unknown, the Reapers avoid attacking humans above 8,000 feet, leaving a small portion of the population to survive in high-altitude regions. In the settlement of Lost Gulch Refuge, a boy named Hunter lived. One day, he ventured beyond the boundary marked by a blue line on the ground and narrowly escaped a Reaper hunting below the safe altitude. His father, Will, scolded him for taking such a dangerous risk. Will was particularly concerned because Hunter had a lung condition that made running difficult, and after the death of Hunter's mother, Tara, Hunter was all the family Will had left. Later, Will confided in his neighbor Katie that Hunter only wanted to visit the neighboring settlement. Katie felt sympathy for the boy. There were no other children in their village for him to play with, and above all, he missed his mother deeply. Next door, in the yard, a woman named Nina struggled to find a way to defeat the Reapers. She experimented with different alloys, crafting bullets and firing them at a piece of Reaper armor. Will watched skeptically, often lost in thoughts of Tara, who had set out with Nina on a dangerous mission to retrieve essential chemicals and tragically met her end in the jaws of a Reaper. That night, Hunter suffered another attack. Will managed to stabilize him, but realized their supply of necessary medication was running low. The following day, Will bought macaroni at the local shop, a luxury now worth a small fortune. Despite the cost, it was Hunter's birthday, and macaroni was his favorite dish. Hunter, however, noticed that his father no longer used the radio. Will explained that electricity had become scarce and had to be conserved for Hunter's life support machine. He also mentioned that the filters for the machine were almost gone. To replace them, he would need to travel to the nearest town, which lay below the safe altitude. Later, Katie, a close friend of Tara, visited Will. She reminded him that it was Friday, and they reminisced about how weekends used to be before the Reapers arrived. Their conversation was cut short by a gunshot from Nina's yard, where she was testing another bullet. They exchanged glances, surprised by Nina's relentless determination. That night, Hunter's condition worsened again. Will administered an injection and barely managed to ease his symptoms. The next day, Will approached Nina and told her he planned to head to the town the following day, claiming he knew of a safe road. Nina immediately disagreed, insisting no such road existed. Will explained to Hotsilson that the filters in Hunter's device were nearly gone, and he had no choice but to retrieve replacements from a hospital. Nina warned that the journey would require descending through passes patrolled by Reapers. Then, Will revealed his secret. He planned to use an abandoned mine that cut through the mountain to reach the town. Nina reminded him that the Reapers had come from underground and mines were their natural habitat. But Will remained confident, insisting he knew the mine well and that the distance was relatively short. He set a meeting time for the next day, though Na firmly declared she wouldn't be joining him. After Will left, Na stood still for a long time, staring at a pirate flag banner. She had promised herself that she would raise it over the mountains once she found a way to fight the Reapers. The next morning, Will visited the local gunsmith, who provided him with a rifle and grenades. While the weapons weren't particularly effective against the Reapers, they would at least slow them down. The gunsmith offered his personal supplies and wished Will good luck. Katie arrived, visibly upset that Will hadn't shared his plans with her. Despite his objections, she armed herself and declared she was coming with him. Nina greeted Katie with hostility, arguing that she wasn't prepared to face the Reapers, having never encountered one up close. Nina predicted certain death for the group. Will laid out his plan. Once they reached a ski slope, they would use a lift to descend to the mine entrance. He hoped the equipment would still be intact and that he'd be able to get it to working. The group set off, and in response to questions, Nina explained that she intended to reach her lab, where she knew the specific chemical Shiva needed to continue her work. She also brought two of her inventions, a compass and a device capable of detecting Reapers nearby by picking up their high bioelectromagnetic impulses, far stronger than any other creature on Earth. Soon, they reached a fire road about a mile from the ski slope, marking the end of the safe zone. The group crossed the boundary and moved cautiously, weapons drawn. They came across several wrecked vehicles, scavenging supplies and weapons from them. Katie claimed a grenade launcher, showing off her Texan upbringing and skill with such equipment. Meanwhile, Nina discovered a fragment of Reaper scale. As she picked it up, a heated argument erupted between her and Katie. Katie blamed Na for Tara's death, while Na dismissed Katie as an inexperienced nuisance. Will intervened, breaking up the fight, and the group pressed on toward the abandoned ski area. Suddenly, a distant whinny echoed from the woods, surprising the group with the sight of wild horses roaming freely in the mountains. Before long, they arrived at the ski resort. The summit and safety were within reach, but Nina warned that reaching the top was impossible. There was a Reaper to Schroeder. Will and Nina rushed to the backup generators, trying to power the lift, while Katie stood guard with a grenade launcher. She watched the forest for any signs of the creature, but saw nothing. Finally, the Reaper emerged from the tree line. Katie fired, but the grenade missed the agile monster. The Reaper charged toward her as Will managed to activate the lift. He and Nina leaped into the gondola, which began its ascent. Will fired at the Reaper, giving Katie the chance to climb into the lift tower. She was forced to jump, barely catching hold of the lift seat. The Reaper, undeterred, grabbed the cable with its tentacle and snapped it. The group plummeted to the ground, narrowly escaping into the safety of the zone. That night, in an old guardhouse, Katie admitted her fear, realizing the Reapers were perfect predators. Nina shared her thoughts. The Reapers didn't consume humans, only killing them relentlessly while leaving other creatures unharmed, making Nina question their biological nature. As they slept, Will reflected on an argument with Tara, who had urged him to trust Nana to save the world. Will had resisted, feeling Tara shouldn't risk her life, especially with Hunter to care for. But Tara had reminded him that Hunter's filters would run out, and without action, he'd die. The next morning, the group reached an old mine Will knew well. The lower levels, however, dipped below the safe zone, exposing them to Reapers. Will insisted it was a short distance, and Nina's tracker would help. But Nina warned the tracker wouldn't work underground, and Reapers could detect human carbon dioxide. Frustrated, Nina was the first to enter the mine. Reaching the desired level, they found the passage blocked by welded metal. The only way forward was to descend another level, but that area was outside the safe zone. Will insisted they press on, and the women reluctantly followed. They descended a ladder, with Will urging them to take their time to avoid exhaling too much carbon dioxide. After a brief rest, Katie recalled how, at the start of the invasion, she had fought with her boyfriend, hit him with a frying pan, and driven off in his car, which ultimately saved her life. The group descended to the next level and continued onward. They made it most of the way when a Reaper appeared, forcing them to flee. Will tried to shoot the creature, but the bullets had no effect. The Reaper closed the gap, hurting them into a dead end. Will ordered everyone to turn off their flashlights and hold their breath. The Reaper's tentacle brushed dangerously close. Will used a flare to startle the creature, giving the group a chance to escape into a partially collapsed tunnel. They scrambled inside, but Katie took a wrong turn and was ensnared by the Reaper's tentacles. Will could only watch helplessly as she was dragged deeper into the mine. Meanwhile, Nina spotted a ladder, and the pair climbed to a higher level, narrowly evading the Reaper. Eventually, Nina and Will emerged from the mine and returned to the surface safely. Above the safe zone, they continued their journey and soon found an almost intact pickup truck, which they decided to use to travel further. They stopped for the night in an abandoned house where they managed to scavenge some food supplies. During dinner, they reminisced about Tara and Katie. Will regretted taking them through the mine, but Nina urged him to channel his anger into the fight. She revealed her plan to return to her lab and retrieve magnesium, theorizing that the Reaper's impenetrable scales generated a magnetic defense. She believed a magnesium bullet could penetrate their armor and ignite an internal fire to kill them. Will grew furious, dismissing her theory as unproven and blaming her for Tara's and others' deaths. Nina reminded him that he was now facing the same difficult decisions as before. The next morning, they headed to the town and reached the hospital, searching for oxygen filters. The building was in ruins and looted, forcing them to climb to the top floor. In an operating room, Will finally found what he needed, but they soon heard the distinct sounds of a Reaper approaching, signaling an imminent attack. They ran, but the Reaper caught up and grabbed Will. Nina grabbed a fire axe and severed the tentacle, enraging the creature further. They retreated to the operating room, where Will ordered Nina to run while he shot at gas canisters. The explosion hurled the Reaper out of the window, leaving it motionless below. Having achieved his goal, Will expressed his intent to return to his son. Na persuaded him to help her first, arguing that if she could create the magnesium bullet, humanity might have a chance. She promised to raise her pirate flag as a signal that the Reapers could be defeated, ensuring that Katie's and Tara's deaths wouldn't be in vain. Reluctantly, Will agreed. They traveled to Nina's former lab at the U.S. Department of Energy, where she gathered the necessary materials and began crafting the magnesium-infused bullet. While guarding her, Will noticed a photograph and learned that Nina had a family who perished during the Reaper invasion. She survived only because she was at work. Nina confessed she blamed herself every day for not being home, regretting not hugging her family one last time. Will tried to console her, but Nina dismissed his words, saying such a life held no meaning for her. Realizing it would take much longer to perfect the bullet, Nina urged Will to return to his son, who was running out of time. She promised to keep working and would join him later. Will reluctantly drove off in the pickup, leaving Nina to continue her work. As she noticed a power cell, an idea struck. She decided to use cobalt instead of magnesium. Just as she finished the bullet, a Reaper attacked her. Meanwhile, Will sped down the road, but his truck's tires blew out, causing him to crash into a tree. Forced to run toward the safety line, the Reapers closed in, cornering him. Just as he neared safety, he fired his gun, expecting to meet his end. Suddenly, a shot rang out, and the attacking Reaper exploded. Nina arrived just in time, wielding her cobalt-infused bullets, which caused the Reapers to detonate spectacularly. Examining the remains, the pair discovered that the Reapers were not biological creatures, but advanced machines of extraterrestrial origin, confirming Nina's theory. The reason for the specific safe altitude remained a mystery. They returned to Lost Gulch, where Hunter greeted his father with delight. Nina raised her pirate flag, signaling nearby settlements that she had found a way to kill the Reapers. Radio communication was restored, and survivors spread instructions on how to craft the special bullets. Later, Nina and Will visited a memorial for the fallen, leaving a bullet at the base with Katie's name inscribed on it. Soon, a team of hunters armed with cobalt bullets set out, and explosions echoed through the Rocky Mountains as Reapers were destroyed one by one. In a post-credit scene, humanity began reclaiming their world. One night, while Nina gazed at the stars through her telescope, Will joined her. Together, they witnessed 3 glowing objects entering Earth's orbit. The film ended on a surprising note, defying expectations for a post-apocalyptic monster movie. Yet the origin of the creatures remained unexplained, leaving open the possibility for a sequel to uncover the truth behind their existence.